Hello and welcome to Riverside Crafts. I'm Ray, and today we're going to be using this stamp set here by Creative Expressions and to make this card. I will also be using the stencils that we've got in the shop at the moment, also by Creative Expressions, to emboss and then blend on top of. So we're going to do a couple of different things today. So first of all, I'm going to do my stamping, which I'm going to use my stamp platform for. Okay, so I'll just put that to one side for a minute so you can see what we're doing. Stamp platform. Okay, that's what I'm going to be stamping on to. So I'm just going to hold that in place, and then I'm going to get my stamp off of the stamp sheet. Okay, I'm just going to straighten that up a bit so I get it nice and light. That's going to go there. Okay, I'm going to be using the Riverside Claire inks. I'm going to be using the grey one today, which is Morning Mist, and it just gives us sort of a lighter finish. It's not quite so heavy, which is quite nice. So I'm just going to tap my ink across my stamp. The die cut shape is using the Riverside Crafts dies, and they cut beautifully, and it's got a really nice stitch detail around the edge, which looks quite nice. So there we go, that's my image done there, and I've got one little bit of stamping to do, which I shall do now as well while I've got the stamp platform out. Where is it? So I'm going to put that there like so, hold on to it slightly. So I'm doing the label in the corner. Okay, so here's the label that I want to stamp down. Let's put that in place so it's in the right bit. Okay, line it up as best as I can. Pick it up, stamp it out. Again, tapping my ink pad down so I don't over ink quite so much. Although that's quite difficult to do, I have to say, with the those Riverside Claire stamps, which is quite nice. So the inks they do work really well together. Right. So put that out of the way. Get out the blending mat because that's next. Now I have embossed using my stencil. So I put my stencil on top of my cardstock, and I've put it through with the rubber mat on my Gemini. So it's all in place like that. So I've got my clear mat and my plastic mat. Then I've got the cardstock down. Nope, get it right. Rubber mat, cardstock, stencil, clear plate, and you put it through, and you can get this really nice embossed finish, which is what we're going to be looking at now, because we're going to blend the ink on it to make it look quite nice. And I'm going to use slightly different colours this time because I want to use the new inks that just come in. So I want to use the new colour, and then so I'm going to just slightly change what I'm doing in my colours this time. So instead of being greens, I'm going to use speckled egg, and then the new saltwater taffy is my pinky colour. So I'm just going to get the speckled egg out. It should be in the drawer. Here it is. Okay, so just going to give it a bit of using my blending brush. I do use blending brushes and sponges depending on what I'm doing. And what I'm going to do is just gently go over the surface of my cardstock, and what it will do is it will highlight my embossed areas more. Okay, so where it's been embossed, it will be highlighted and you'll see it a little bit more. It will also give definition to what you're doing, which is quite nice to do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do half with my brush so you can see, and I'm going to do the other half with the blending tool so you get to see the differences. I've got a blending sponge on the bottom. No, I haven't. I'll have to find a new one then in a second. Not a problem, we can do that. Right, so that's that bit. Blending tool. Blending sponge. So here we go. So this is using the tool this time and a sponge. So I want to show you the difference in how it works and a little bit. So this will be slightly heavier I would think. And if you look, I do it at an angle. Okay, so when I'm using my ink pads and my blending tool, I'm not putting it down flat and trying to get it over. I've got it at a slight angle, so it will just give me that little bit of colour. As you can see, it's slightly heavier with the blending tool. You get a little bit more colour going down faster than what you would do with the brush. So it's literally personal choice and what you've got at home to how you want to do it. So you can get this to go on quite nicely and it'll give you a sort of a nice finish here. Just so you can see what I mean. Okay, so hopefully you can now see how well that's sort of starting to give us some colour. I've got quite a lot of bright light today, so it's giving me a bit of glare, so they can see the colour coming through. Okay, so that's done that bit. Now I'm going to use my new pinky tone one that I've got here, which is going to be on that brush there. And I'm going to go around the edge of this. Okay, I'm just also going to do a little bit of painting. So I put some of my blue down. I'm going to use that as so it blends in. That's my pinky colour. That's the new one. It looks really nice and bright, which I quite like. The brush. Okay, I'm just going to pick a little bit of colour to put on my rose. So what I'm doing is just dropping the colour on it. I'm not trying to paint this and spend lots and lots of time painting it. It's just literally just dropping some colour in to help it sort of give it a bit of a, so just dropping it in and putting it where you want it to be. So it's a lot more of a gentle thing. I'm not trying to get it all perfectly coloured. I'm just trying to put a tint of colour on it. Very similar to how they used to do old photographs. So they used to put just like a little bit of a light watercolour tint over something to give you the idea that it'd been painted, when actually it really hadn't, in the same way. So a little bit of green for the leaves. Well, that's a nice bright green, that one. That is mowed lawn, so I won't want much of it. It's quite bright, but it just gives me a little bit of a tint. Water again. So here we go. And that's working there quite nicely. Going to put a little bit of pink back in the middle of that rose there, because it's just opening. There we are. Right. Now I'm going to blend the pinky tone, this new one, Saltwater Taffy rather, which used to be a taffy, was you said mean toffee to me when I was a youngster. So I'm just blending it around the edges. It's a really pretty colour, this is, I have to say. It'll be great for painting skin tones, because it's sort of just a little bit more than what the dried marigold is. So it's quite nice, and it'll work really well to do your skin tones and things with, I think. So just going around the edge of this, doing this quite nicely, blending it. And so it's got the tint coming all the way around it. This will also highlight the stitch detail quite nicely on the die. Okay, So let's put the lid on the new ink, which is really pretty. So saltwater taffy is a very pretty colour, and we've got it in at the moment, so it's worth a visit to have a look. See, right, so here we go. I'm going to start making up my card. I also, when I was in the shop this week, found this. I didn't know it was in, but I found this raffia, paper yarn. But I like how it comes out of the packaging. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that this time rather than my, rather than some ribbons. I thought it'd just be, give a different finish to it. So I'm just going to go around it. We'll tie off there quite nicely. Just get my scissors and cut a bit off. So, and we've got it in different colours as well, because we've got it in a really nice, it was in a pinky tone, a green and a grey. I bought the green home because I really like that one as well. So I've got the green as well, because I thought those two I would use quite a lot. And make a change from using my twine all the time, because I do use that a lot as well when I'm doing this. So let's just tie my bow off. Okay, and sort this out here, make it look pretty. Pull that in, kind of fiddle. There we go, that looks quite nice. Take off all the excess pieces so they're not hanging around for me. And I've got this piece to sit here, and then this is going on to this here quite nicely. It's trimming down a little bit, I think. So I'll trim that off slightly, and that'll be that done then, won't it? So I've used, the stamp set is by from Creative Expressions. It's done by Sam Paul. We did a card last week with the watch on it, which was sort of quite manly, and we used exactly the same stamp set and the same stencils. So it's quite nice to have used all the same stuff to give it a different feel, if that makes sense to you. There we go, that's going on there like that. That's that job done. Right, a few little foam pads. Get those out for us. Here we go, some foam pads are in the way. So I'm going to put this on the back of here. Do this one first. Okay. That just behind, like so. And it can sit on there like so, which looks quite nice. Some glue. We have a really good range of ribbons and twines at the shop, so it's worth going and having a look to see what else there is available to actually put around your projects, rather than just always using the same types of things. It's very easy to get into a rut and always use certain types of things to do. So I mean, I have a bad habit, everything has twine on it if I'm not careful. So to use the raffia, it's sort of like giving me a slightly different feel to what I'm doing, and the same when I use the ribbon, it just changes it up slightly. Okay, right. So I'm just going to bring in the two cards so you can see the slight differences. This was done with Victorian Velvet, and then this is the Bundled Sage. This one is done using the new colour, which is Saltwater Taffy, and Speckled Egg on the outside edges, which is quite pretty. It's a bit more subtle, I think, but you can still see the detailing quite nicely. And we use exactly the same stamp set that I did to do this. So when you think that from that one stamp set I've done two very different cards and styles of cards. One that's very feminine and another one that's quite masculine. So it makes a particular set of stamps very usable in your stamp collection, which is quite nice. So I hope you've really enjoyed watching and you enjoyed me doing it. And I will see you next week. And next week we are going to be looking at doing my doing this bee, which is using more distress inks, but doing a little bit more detailed colouring with the distress inks and blending again just along the edges, just to give you a different feel for it. Okay, so hopefully I will see you next week for this one. Thanks for watching and for keeping me company. I hope it all went okay, and I shall see you again.